Hi everybody, Mischa here with Word of the Day, and there it is. Dissident. And of course, I chose the word dissident for Martin Luther King Day because he was, among other things, a dissident. So, what does it mean? Well, to be a dissident, one must oppose a great power. It could be the government, it could be a religion, could even be the school board, really. But in addition to taking a principled position, I disagree with this thing that you're doing, and I think you should stop doing that thing, you also have to have some kind of personal danger. Maybe it's losing your job, but maybe it's ending up in Siberia. Who knows? So, this word dissident, where does it come from? It comes out of Latin with no intermediate stops anywhere else, like French or anything, and comes into English in 1534, the middle of the Reformation. During the Reformation, this word was just ubiquitous. It was all over the place because there was a lot of writing going on among people whose names you do know, like Thomas More or Erasmus or Martin Luther, but everybody else who was in that scene of people arguing about religion and the state and what was right and what was wrong. Okay, now that, of course, is how that's why we had people on the Mayflower. These folks were dissidents. Okay, now in the 20th century, the word dissident took on an additional layer of meaning, and I think this was really in response to the Cold War, because that's usually how the word came up. People who were dissidents against the Soviet Union. Okay, so the additional layer was one of, there's the implication that you are fighting the good fight, that you are showing courage in the face of a state or a government that is much more powerful. And there is also the suggestion that when this whole thing is over, it's going to be the dissident who is vindicated, and it is going to be the great power that is going to be shown to be wrong. Okay, so how can we use the word dissident today? Well, let me start with Martin Luther King. He was, of course, a minister, a dissident, and then the leader of a movement, and today he is, of course, a national icon and hero. And among his principled positions in opposition to the American government, well, I'll just mention two. The first was, you, American government, should not be sanctioning or supporting racial segregation. It's wrong. You should knock it off. A second one was, if you pass a law that is unjust, that law is illegitimate. That's the way it is. Okay, so those were just two of his principled positions. And of course, in terms of being in danger, he was threatened, he was surveilled, he was jailed, and he was assassinated. He meets every qualification. Now, how can we use this word today? Besides having talked about Martin Luther King, how about my own personal one? Because I got one. In the 60s, the dissident Cesar Chavez, the dissident Dolores Huerta, and many others were conducting a big strike against the grape growers in California because they were making certain demands for what eventually became United Farm Workers, which was, look, we'll work for you, but give us decent pay, give us decent housing, our kids need to go to school, we need clean water, things like that. And so there was a big national grape strike. If you were on the side of these dissidents, you did not buy any grapes. Well, our right-wing neighbor was talking to my mother. I'm going to go to the Piggly Wiggly and I'm going to fill my cart with grapes. And my mother said, oh, I wouldn't even buy plastic grapes. There were many, many sins in the 1960s. And Naugahyde from mica, white lipstick, and plastic fruit as home decor. Can you believe it? Anyway, that's the word dissident. Go out there and use it. I don't think it's very hard to become a dissident these days. And if you want to read along the way, you may want to pick up a book like this, The Souls of Black Folk by W.E.B. Du Bois. Man, I read this in high school, and a lot of it was over my head, honestly, at the time, because I was only, 16. But boy, it opened my eyes. But if you're going to buy this book and you're going to read this book, which I suggest, don't buy from the big boys. They are behaving badly. We are going to buy from independent booksellers. And so click above or below at bookshop.org/shop/word of the day, and I'll see you later.